Can we start now, or you need
Sure.
a short
No,
break?
we can start now if you are
All right.
ready. All right.
Okay.
Wait, yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay. Good afternoon,
Let me.
everyone. Sorry. Okay, we start now, Dr. Mahas.
Yeah, let me share my screen.
All right. I will give some introduction to the students first, and then you can give your lecture.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining in our Stovit online series hosted by Faculty of Dental Medicine, Universitas Airlangga. In our webinar this afternoon, we have Dr. Marhas Linda Jamaluddin from Department of Community Oral Health and Clinical Prevention, Faculty of Dentistry, University of Malaya, Malaysia. Dr. Marhas will give a lecture about online-based survey research methodology. Now I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dinis Jawati. I'm a lecturer in Dental Public Health Department, Faculty of Dental Medicine, Universitas Airlangga, and I will be the moderator for our webinar this afternoon. Before we start our webinar, I would like to welcome our remarkable speaker, Dr. Marhas Linda Jamaluddin. Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon, Dr. Marhas.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule for giving us a lecture in our webinar this afternoon. Okay, before we start the lecture, let me briefly read Dr. Marhas' curriculum vitae. Dr. Marhas Linda is a senior lecturer in Department of Community Oral and Clinical Prevention, Faculty of Dentistry in University of Malaya. She obtained her Bachelor of Dental Surgery from University of Malaya in 1997 and her Master degree in Community Medicine in 2004 from University Science Malaysia. Currently, she teaches undergraduates and postgraduate students. Her expertise is in research methodology and epidemiology and biostatistics and has conducted research and biostatistic consultation clinic for academicians and students for 7 years. She has been invited as a plenary speaker and speaker in national and international Association of Dental Research for Southeast Asia Division conferences, also as a judge in national and international scientific paper competitions, such as for International Association of Dental Research, or IADR, and ASEAN Conference for Oral Health Promotion for School Children. Her research interests are in dental education, health inequalities, systematic review and meta-analysis, and smoking interventions. Now let's start our lecture this afternoon. Dr. Marhas will give a lecture for about 90 to 100 minutes. At the end of her lecture, we allocate 15 to 20 minutes for discussion. So all participants are welcome to send a question to Dr. Marhas through our Zoom chat room. Well, Dr. Marhas, I invite you to start your lecture about online-based survey research methodology, and you may start your lecture now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Dini, for your very kind introduction. I was smiling when I heard that the lecture will take 90 minutes to 100 minutes. It sounds so long, 90 minutes. Normally, actually, this is my third time. Yeah, I think like I have given 2 lectures before this, and this is my third and the last lectures. Thank you so much for I think the head of department, Prof. Tafan, and also all the lecturers in the department, for inviting me to give this lecture to the students. Okay, can you see my my slide now? Can you all see my slide? Okay, all right, good. So today, our lecture will be on online-based survey research methodology. I think this topic is very much relevant, especially now in our pandemic situation. Yeah, it's very hard for us to conduct research. Di Malaysia pun, almost all research we have to convert it to online research. Yeah, because there's no chance to go to in the field, even with the school children or even with our own staff, research among academicians, among health staff, all need to be conducted online. So I think this topic chosen by your department is very relevant. So basically, I will go straight to study design. whenever we want to conduct research, I think by now everyone has a clear idea that when we want to conduct research, first thing we must have a very clear objective, right? A very, very clear research question converted into a clear objective. Why? There is a stage where it will be difficult for most people to decide what study design we need to employ to achieve the objective. Ini memang satu stage yang kalau based on my experience, student ke, academicians ke, they have some different level of difficulty lah. Some will find it very difficult. The more experienced one will have no problem in this to decide apa study design yang sesuai. So to help us to decide, actually, it's not that difficult. The first thing when you have your research objective, look at your research objective. Decide if your objective is to describe or to intervene. Sudah ada objektifnya, just understand your objective. Do you want to describe only or you want to intervene something? What do we mean by intervene? If you are actually introducing something with intention to change the outcome of the study, then it is actually interventional approach. Introducing something to change outcome, maknanya, for example, you actually katakan, I remember when I met Prof. Taufan in Malang, Prof. Taufan ada bawa itu, alamak, apa kita panggil tu, bukan toys is oral health education method for children. It is, apa namanya Prof. Taufan?
Dental pop-up.
Dental pop-up. It's very impressive. That actually is an intervention. For example, intervention that your group, Prof. Taufan and his team introduced. Perhaps the outcome is to change behavior, oral health behavior of the children. So the outcome is oral health behavior, meaning brushing, for example, and any outcome. But the intervention is actually the dental pop-up. If you have a kind of intervention to change an outcome, so definitely when you look for the study design, you have to go for intervene branch. But if your study is only to describe, to evaluate, to audit a problem, there's nothing that you introduce to change the outcome, then you will end up with the observational group of study design. This one has to be clear first before we go to online survey. So first, fikir. Kalau kita ada something intervention, dan apa yang kita introduce ini will with the intention to change the outcome of the study, so we will end up with intervention study design group. But if we just want to observe meaning whatever we do, not to change the outcome. In our case, if we are using a questionnaire or online survey, is our online survey ini is it to change the outcome ataupun untuk mendapatkan informasi sahaja? If we just to observe, to get some information, then we will end up with observational study. So kalau sudah tahu, observation, the next stage we must think, in this study, our research, do we look for any causality or not? Is that in our objective where we are trying to see whether A causes B, whether smoking causes lung cancer, for example, whether water feeding at night causes caries, whether a thumb sucking habit causes malocclusion class 2. If there is an element of looking for causality, we will end up with analytical study. But if there is no element of causality, meaning in our objective, there is no objective where we want to see whether A causes B. Perhaps we want to look whether this factor associated with the outcome. Associated is different than causal. Associated ni maksudnya ada hubung kait, tapi tidak semestinya menyebabkan. It's just associated, not causal. So if you're just looking at possible risk factor, adakah gender associate with certain kind of disease, then it's not causality. So we will end up with descriptive study. Descriptive study. Under descriptive, kita ada banyak lah. Ada case series, case report, we have ecological correlational study. But what we're going to talk today is the cross-sectional study, which is survey. Now, I will go straight to what is survey, cross-sectional study, especially for the undergraduates lah. I'm sure all the lecturer dah tahu dah ni survey apa kan. It's just a revision, especially for the undergraduates. Cross-sectional study survey is a descriptive study. It is also called prevalence study. Cross-sectional survey ni kita selalunya plan where a defined population yang sudah kita tentukan apa are studied at a single time point or over a short period of time. Tapi period of time ni bukanlah macam 5 tahun, too long. It's a very short period of time, maybe 1 month, maybe 2 weeks. Sometimes you do many times. Pada bulan January, and then you buat bulan March, and then bulan June, and that is also cross-sectional study, but it is called longitudinal cross-sectional study. So basically, cross-sectional study is like when you take a photo, it's a snapshot study. Kita ambil gambar tu, snap, that's a cross-sectional study. So when you conduct this study, it is where you measure exposure dan outcome at the same time. Kan, bila kita buat survey, you check kalau kita pergi in the field, you go and do some examination, medical examination or dental examination, you get the outcome, whether they have disease or not. At the same time, you ask the question, do you smoke or not? Do you exercise or not? So this smoking, exercise, how about your diet? All these are exposure or risk factor. So at the same time, you measure the exposure, the risk factor, and also the outcome. So in cross-sectional study or survey, the finding actually can suggest possible risk factor. Not yet a risk factor, just possible risk factor. Because the design itself, dia snapshot kan at one time. So you do not know whether exposure comes first before the outcome. Kalau if you want to say A is a risk factor to B, the A must come first. Kalau you want to say smoking cause oral cancer, the patient must smoke for a long time before the oral cancer occur. So but in a cross-sectional study, we don't have that. We do not know whether they smoke selepas dapat cancer ke sebelum ke, we do not know. Alright. So in cross-sectional study, normally based on the cross-sectional, barulah kita boleh establish hypothesis. Sebab from kita punya survey, we know that smoking ni a possible risk factor, associated factor to periodontitis. Because from our survey, we see that among patient with periodontitis, ramai yang smoking, ramai smokers, compared to patient yang healthy gums. But you do not know whether really smoking causes periodontitis. But based on your finding of cross-sectional study, you have that speculation. So then you generate a hypothesis. Does smoking cause periodontitis? And you follow that through with a different study design, which is analytical study design, which is a higher ranking of evidence that can conclude on risk factor. So the survey, normally the use of survey is basically either we want to suggest possible risk factor or to estimate disease burden or health status in a population. So cross-sectional study ni nama lainnya memang survey. Kalau people say survey, that is actually a cross-sectional study. Sama Alright. Look at this diagram. So basically when we conduct cross-sectional survey, either at single time in point or a defined period, we will measure all these things together at the same time. Outcome, exposure, and confounders. Now, so in summary, just to get you all in context to know what is the use of surveys in healthcare research. Number one, probably you want to establish or to determine better attitudes, opinions, or belief of person concerning any health-related issue. Kita mahu tahu apakah attitude-nya, knowledge pun boleh knowledge, attitude-nya, opinion atau kepercayaannya tentang sesuatu health issue. Tak kisahlah COVID apa saja Alright. To study characteristic of population on health-related driver. For example, you want to know how many person who actually use your healthcare, government healthcare in Indonesia. Is it elder people? Is it adolescent, young people? Adakah yang dari lower income or probably a higher income also goes to government healthcare? Especially in this condition now, situation now. What about the health expenditure? Normally ini semua guna survey. to collect info about demographic characteristic. Ya, ini yang I'm sure ya kita selalu dengar census ya, banci. Census itu yang dibuat sometimes every year, sometimes every 2 years, depending on the country, sometimes every 5 years, just to know about the population demography of a country. Macam mana populationnya, ramai orang tu, aging population, or actually aging people, old people, a very, very small number, but we have more on young people. That to collect info on this demographic also use survey. Census is a survey. Also to give an overview of the state of health or health, treatment patterns in community, to give insight on disease burden, prevalence of certain condition, the health-related normative needs, patient from patient perspective ataupun daripada perspektif healthcare provider. And all this survey actually can be the basis for hypothesis or theory. So enough just an introduction of a survey of cross-sectional. Now, if we go back to research process, this is in general, research process in general. Selalunya, if you want to do a research, number one, you must be able to identify the problem or research area. Kita dah cakap ini in our first lecture, to identify a clear what is the research area that you would like to embark your research on. After that, you would like to search for literature review to broaden your knowledge about your research area, to maybe to refine your research problem, and then after you have a clear view, we will start to formulate research question. Based on a clear research question, we will convert it to clear aim and objective. And some research will have hypotheses, but not all will have hypotheses. A research question with a descriptive research objective, for example, you want to determine the knowledge, attitude, practice of undergraduate student in University Airlangga on COVID in certain domains, sign and symptom, mode of transmission, for example. There's no hypothesis because it's just descriptive. There's no in your objective where you want to compare or you want to associate. But if you have an objective where you say you want to determine, you want to compare the knowledge, attitude, and practice among undergraduate students when handling patients in this COVID situation time, you want to compare the knowledge with another undergraduate from other university. When there is element of comparison, then you start to think about hypothesis. So when you already have this clear, then we start to identify variables. What are your outcome of study? What are the factors of interest that you would like to investigate, to compare with? And then you decide on the research design. Now we are talking about online survey. So our research design now is a survey. But when we do a survey, what are the methods? There are different methods. Bila kita buat survey atau cross-sectional study ni, banyak method kan. Antaranya is you do an interview guided questionnaire. You develop a questionnaire, or we can also use a validated questionnaire, and we go to the field and interview our participants. So that is interview guided questionnaire. We can also use self-administered questionnaire where we normally print hard copy and then you send to your participant, whether you go to the school and you distribute to your participant, and they will answer themselves. It is self-administered, not interview guided. That also is a method of data collection. Another method now, which is very relevant, is the online survey. Online survey ni sebenarnya for other field like business, mereka memang dah lama, a very long time already they actually apply online survey. Selalu kan mereka buat marketing survey, customer survey. Siapa yang rajin buat online, shopping online, you will notice this. They will give some question, maybe just 2-3 questions, but that is actually an online survey for their marketing. So it is very, very common in a business field, but in healthcare services sudah dibuat. But kita selalunya before this we go into the field kan. Sekarang ni we have no options, then we start thinking about the online survey. It's also a new thing to me sebab kita baru saja embark on this. Rasanya tahun inilah yang baru start online survey in healthcare research. I do not know whether in Indonesia you have done this for a long time, but for us it's quite new as well lah. Yeah. All right. So that is our method of data collection. After that, we'll analyze and present and interpret our finding. So now we go to our topic, which is online survey. Yeah? So this online survey, one of the most widely utilized survey methods. Yeah? It is actually like a normal survey. An online survey is a systematic gathering of data from the target population. The characteristic is the invitation of the respondent and the completion of the questionnaire is actually online. Ya. The good thing, ini sebenarnya jalan cepat lah ya, a faster way of collecting data from the respondent. If you compare to paper and pencil method and personal interview, memang ya, sebab sekarang now that we realize when we have started doing online survey, sangat cepat ya, cepat and then less apa kita panggil what's the term, less logistic problem lah, because you don't have to go, you don't have to arrange where to meet, you don't have to arrange when, it's just an online, but of course it has advantage and disadvantage which we will discuss after this, but definitely online survey is much better in terms of response, faster way in terms of timing, very fast compared to paper and pencil method and personal interview. I'm talking about when you have, when you intend to have hundreds of respondents. Kalau respondennya hanya like 50, maybe not so bad lah, interview and paper and pencil method. But when you intend to collect from a big number of respondents, then obviously online survey is a faster way. Okay. Now let's look what is the advantage and the basic general advantages and disadvantages of online survey. Number one, the advantages. Number one, the ease of data gathering. Ease of data gathering meaning if we require 100 or more respondents, it can be conducted faster internet because survey online ni, it can be rapidly deployed and completed by the respondent, especially kalau ada insentif lah, kan? Kalau ada insentif cepat saja, memang cepat siap, And in term of cost, in a situation where the grant is very hard to get, there's no money, sometimes we have to use our own money, and if you want to do a multiple survey, susah juga tu if you want to use our own money, right? So traditional survey, survey yang dulu tu memang we spend a lot of money. Why? We need to print out the hard copy, the paper, the ink, kalau respondennya ribu-ribu, wow, quite a lot of money also you have to spend on that, So this online survey, studies have shown that conducting an internet survey facilitate low cost from the target population, because you can send email or any other online questionnaire is more affordable. Boleh dengar tak? Ada tak macam gangguan suara? Can I confirm? Do you hear any other voice?
No, I think.
Okay, clear. Sebab saya ada 2 lecture sedang berjalan. There's another. Tapi tak ada dengar kan? You just hear my voice only, right?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, good. All right. So the second advantage obviously minimize the cost, boleh banyak minimize, and the money we can use to publish paper, to send students for conferences, Okay. The third one, which is also important, then quite easy lah, menyenangkan, I found out that when we use SurveyMonkey or Google Form, yang senangnya, because respondents are able to answer the questionnaire by means of, they can put their answer while connected to the internet. And all these responses, dia akan automatically stored in the survey database, kan? Jadi kita macam, and it can be export to SPSS. Jadi tak perlu buat data entry. So saya rasa last time when I used to do survey yang biasa, nanti balik, the student need to do data entry, that will actually spend sometimes to do data entry. But when we use this online survey, everything already automatically stored in a database. So the handling of data entry semua, and error in data entry, sometimes kita data entry banyak-banyak, we incline to commit some errors in data entry. Semua tu boleh be minimized when we use online survey. Okay. The fourth advantage is in response rate, because online survey very convenient for the respondent. For some respondent, it's very convenient because especially nowadays and the new generation, always almost all the time online kan. So online is very convenient for them to answer questionnaire according to their own pace, chosen time, preference. Tak perlu lagi you have to sit in a room, you have to answer questionnaire, must sit in a room from this time to this time, tak perlu. So somehow it helps in increasing the response rate, and also flexibility of the design. Sebab connecting through internet and all these online software, they actually provide many types of survey. And in one survey, you can actually include more than one type of response format, which we will talk about this later. Now, of course, there are also disadvantage. Disadvantage, jadi we have to think to balance between the advantage and disadvantage of online survey. The main disadvantage is the absence of interviewer. So if you want to do a survey, in-depth survey, which we need to ask open-ended questionnaire, because we want to have an in-depth knowledge about something, in-depth opinion, to explore in-depth experience, for example. So online survey is not a suitable method, sebab kita tak ada interviewer to explore the answer of the respondent kan, in online survey. And the second one, this is also the limitation of online survey, whereby online survey is not able to reach challenging population because kalau online survey ni mestilah respondent yang ada access to the internet, So sometimes if you want to study among elder people or people who reside in remote areas, so it's hard to reach this population using online survey. And normally this online survey kita kena apply on a captive population, captive specific population. For example, we want to conduct a study among teachers in the school. So teachers in the school mesti ada internet kan in the school, ataupun among lecturers, among students, among the captive population. Because if you want to do like population in Indonesia, it will be very difficult. The third disadvantage is survey fraud. Survey fraud ni is where people who answer online survey for the sake of getting the incentive. Ini bahaya juga when we give incentive. That's why later we will talk about when we want to give incentive, it has to be sedang-sedang sahaja orang kata, the incentive, because there are people where they just want the incentive. They didn't answer the online survey truthfully. They just want to complete the survey because they want to have the incentive. Now, so that is about advantage and disadvantage of online survey. Now, when we want to choose the right online survey software or questionnaire tool, actually, if you Google, there's a lot of online survey. Banyak sangat company yang ada, banyak berpuluh-puluh. You can actually Google the top 5, the top 10, and every year dia berubah. I tengok 2017 lain, 2018 lain, 1920 pun lain, Dia ada perubahan lah. Of course, the company also they will improve their software. So to pick up a suitable online survey software, it's quite tricky. Especially many of these tools sebenarnya dia provide about the same feature. Tetapi I think what important perhaps kalau yang for the undergraduate students to do the research, maybe mestilah you akan nak tahu kan a paid version and a free version. Selalunya kalau student-student saya di sini tu, of course they will go for free version. Even the postgraduate student also will go for free version kalau kriterianya memenuhi. So why should we go for paid version? So we must know what we want lah, Typically, paid version of online survey, of course, ada extra capabilities. Let's look at this. Number one, the survey logic. Survey logic ni maknanya selalunya paid tools dia will provide option for you to add a follow-up question based on the answer you provided to the previous question. Maksudnya kalau survey biasa pun ada kan, we ask our respondent to answer the question, and based on the answer tu, we will ask them to skip to the next question. If you answer yes, please go to this question. Yeah. If you answer finish this page, please go to page berapa. Itu kita panggil skip logic or survey logic. Ataupun just a follow up question. Sebab kalau free version, they normally offer specific number of question. Kalau 20 soalan saja boleh tanya. If you want to ask more, then you have to pay. Yeah. So depending lah, if your survey is a small survey and it's sufficient for you to have a small number of questions, you can actually use a free version of online software. Okay. Number two is export data. Tapi ini sangat penting. But the good thing is yang free pun boleh export data now, like Google Form, Survey Monkey, semua boleh export data. So you boleh guna free version lah, But there are several tools that will let you export your survey data unless you bayar, you pay. The other thing is you also would like to know whether the online software you could actually customize it, to give your own branding, Sebab this company, they already have their logo there. Of course, they have that Survey Monkey. They have their logo to promote their software. But some software, they allow us, to remove their logo and make our own logo. Make our own logo, customize branding it with our own organization. The fourth thing is question type. This is also important. Free survey tool can offer plenty of question type. Banyak multiple choice lah, rating, drop down. We will talk about this also later. But paid version tend to offer even more. But I think lah, kalau based on students my elective project, students undergrad semua, yang free type sudah cukup. Sebab kita tak adalah guna question format yang very advanced, and of course, one good thing is our student ni, our generation now ni, they are even more savvy than us, so mereka memang kreatif lah, they can use the free version very wisely. Now, what makes a great survey application? When we want to get our answer, we have to ask the right answer, we have to ask the right question, right? So a good survey application mestilah boleh allow kita untuk customize question kita, so that when you ask for information, it is in a way that makes sense to the people yang mahu menjawab soalan tu. So a good survey dia mesti ada a few types of question type. Kalau survey yang hanya ada satu atau dua survey types, then you may not want to choose that. Customizing question is important because it allows us to collect exact type of information you're looking for, especially when you're not looking for binary yes or no, either or answer. So a solid online survey tool will allow you to build a survey to use logic like branching. Branching ni macam kita cakap tadi lah. We can direct respondent to answer a question based on their previous answer. For example, katakan your first question, have you watched the Avengers movie? And we only want people who answer yes to see the next question. Because actually what we want to know, who's your favorite character from the Avengers? So a good survey software, they'll be able to do this. The first question, they'll be able to skip logic. Whoever answer yes will see the next question. You'll be surprised. There is software that cannot do this. So you want to know that from very beginning lah, before you start. Sebelum kita mula buat survey, you must already know what question to ask. You must already know what to. Actually, in this lecture, saya tidak prepare on how to develop questionnaire. Tapi I can talk about that because I'm focusing on online survey. But I can talk about that later lah, a bit. Just how to develop a questionnaire. Because before you do online survey ni, of course, we have to develop a questionnaire. Developing a questionnaire also there is a way, yeah, to how to develop it. Yeah, we keep that first. So you also would like to see whether this application can analyze the data that you collect, at least a basic analysis. There is software, they cannot do any analysis. They can just do survey and it stops there. There is a software where, like Google Form, dia boleh bagi you terus what is the response rate and basic frequency analysis, how many percent actually know about sign and symptom of COVID, how many percent know what is the standard operating procedure. They can actually give you the percentage, a basic analysis that will help the researcher very much. Yeah. Now, okay, enough about that. Now, we would like to see, to understand a different type of survey. Survey question ni, in general, it can either be a close-ended or open-ended, right? Close-ended maknanya sudah ada jawapannya, mereka just choose from the answer that we have prepared for them. Open-ended is a very open question, so anyone can put their own words and can answer in their own way. Normally, it is open-ended qualitative study, yeah, where we want to know in-depth experience, in-depth opinion. But you will find there is also open-ended questionnaire dalam survey. Dia ada semua close-ended. Later at the end of it, there's one open-ended to ask your opinion. Ada juga, ya. So we will go through all this. Ini adalah part of survey yang normally are available in online survey. Yeah? It's either multiple choice question or MCQ, or you use rating skill or lighted skill. You can also use metric question, drop-down question, demographic question, open-ended question, ranking question, image question, file upload question. Banyak kan? There's a lot actually. Yeah? So when you want to do online survey, make sure objective clear. Kemudian macam mana kita nak tanya soalan ni sebenarnya? How do we plan to ask our question? Using which type of survey? That will address our objective. Yeah. Let's look at multiple choice question. Ini yang most popular survey question type. Yeah. This is where our respondent will get to select one or more option from a list of answers that we have defined. Yeah. The good thing, it is very easy to use in different ways. It helps produce easy to analyze data, and it provides mutually exclusive choice. They can only answer one, or sometimes they can answer more than one lah. Yeah. But the good things, the answer options are fixed. Yeah. So respondents have an easier survey taking experience. They don't have to think hard what to answer. Dia cuma pilih dari apa yang ada di sana, just take. The good things also will get a structured survey response, very structured, that can produce a clean data for analysis. Jadi analisisnya sangat senang. You just do the data entry format, in the Google form, mereka akan A, B, C, D, E, so they will actually give you the percentage, who answered B, how many answered D, E, and etc. This MCQ come in many different formats. Number one, it could be a single answer MCQ. Bila you tengok software tu, you will see if single answer MCQ, normally they will give you a radio button, a circle button representing a list format that easy for the respondent just to click only one answer. This work well for binary question with rating or nominal skill. We can also have multiple answer MCQ. But multiple answer MCQ, normally software ni dia akan show with square checkbox. So respondent dia boleh check off whatever choices that apply to them. Now, a common drawback of MCQ, it will limit responses to a predetermined list option. That can cause bias in your result. Bias ni, why? Because perhaps none of the answer apply to the respondent. Mungkin jawapan tu semua not relevant to them, but they just have to choose a random answer from the predetermined list, which actually could impact the accuracy of your results. So you have to address this as a limitation. But this can also be solved by adding one option, which is other option, or you can put comment. Please specify. I'm sure you have seen that, right? When you put others in bracket, please please specify, or you will put there comment for them to put comment if they have a different answer from the answer option. Yeah. Now, this is an example of multiple choice question. How would you rate the performance of our graduates in the service? Yeah. Okay. Now, the second one is about rating skill. Ini kalau kita buat soalan where we want the respondent to rate, yeah. So in rating skill question, normally the question will display a scale of answer. Depending lah, ada 0 sampai 100, ada 1 to 10, yeah, rating skill question. And the respondent get to select the number that most accurately represent their response on the rating, yeah. Selalunya rating skill ni kita guna with ranking question, yeah. Tapi kalau kita nak guna rating skill ni, we have to give the respondent the context. Contohnya, kalau kita tanya soalan, how much do you like the ice cream? And then you put 0 to 10. Yeah? You need to put the value, the meaning, yeah? The value of the number on your scale. Yeah? Sebab if there's no value on your scale, so the respondent will not be able to interpret in the context that you want. Yeah? Dia pun tak faham 0 to 10. 10 tu maksudnya very delicious, or 0 is very perfect, 10 is less perfect. We do not. You have to put a value on your scale. Now, contohnya, how would you recommend our graduates to a private organization, such as a private hospital? Yeah, you may want to do this online survey and send it. I do not know how is the process in Indonesia. Like in Malaysia, when our undergraduate student graduates, yeah, they will have to register to our Ministry of Health, yeah, and they is actually first year dental officer, yeah. First year dental officer, they will have to actually attach to clinics, yeah, serve their 1 year of service, and we will actually get they will actually assess, yeah, their performance will be assessed, yeah. And if they want to work in the Ministry of Health in the government service, they will have to perform very well, or they will not be recommended to work in government service, yeah. So they will have to open private clinic, yeah, yeah. So maybe we would like to do a survey on employee, yeah? Employee survey, employer survey, where the employer would rate our graduate, so that we know that our graduate is good or not. You can give the rating scale, but you must put the value of the skill, yeah? Okay, Likert scale. I'm sure most of us here very familiar, yeah, Likert scale. This is where we give the respondent a range of options. For example, like just now, not at all like, because Likert scale, dia macam rating scale, but not all Likert scale is about rating, yeah. Kalau rating tu memang we ask the respondent to rate on something. But Likert scale is also a range of options. Ini satu contoh saja, not at all likely, scaling all the way up to extremely likely. Or I'm sure you have actually experienced question where they ask you to rate whether from do you agree or disagree. It could start from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Yeah? So there's a range of options. This is not rating. This is just actually to gauge respondent opinion. Yeah? Feeling is very good to measure attitude, where you put a statement and you put the Likert scale to actually gauge what is the attitude of a person towards a situation. Yeah, it works very well to understand specific feedback. Yeah, for example, survey question for patient often use a Likert scale to measure, like I said, opinion or attitude on a range of topic. Normally, Likert scale ni jarang lah. Actually, Likert scale ni bukan jarang. I tak pernah jumpa. Kalau 0 to 100 tu is rating scale, right? Likert scale ni normally 0 to 5 or 0 to 7, or at most 0 to 10. Excuse me, 0 to 10, yeah? Now, there's some debate, arguments about Likert scale, because Likert scale, when we want to analyze later, Likert scale ni can be treated either as continuous variable Maknanya dari Likert scale, kalau skornya 0 to 7, so we would like to know mean or the average score because we treat it as 0 to 7 as continuous data. So what we report is average score. Kalau ada 10, if we have like 10 participants, the first answer 5, the second answer 7, and so on, then we average the 10% score. So we get average score for a Likert scale question. But there's also a debate where kalau skillnya itu 0 to 5 only, sometimes 0 to 4. So you can report S2, one as continuous where you put average. The other one we can also report as proportion. Yeah, how many has answered 0? Yeah, how many has answered strongly disagree? How many has answered disagree? How many percent has answered strongly agree? So you can report in proportion as well because they consider Likert scale as ordinal scale. Yeah, it's not a continuous, it's a categorical. Both are correct. You have to put it into perspective. Now, an example of how Likert scale question can be used to determine attitude, yeah, to investigate attitude. Normally, attitude question, we will put a statement. Yeah, for example, those who smoke e-cigarettes looks very cool. It's a statement. Yeah, it's not a question. So, and we'll see how the respondent will answer to show their attitude, whether they strongly agree or strongly disagree. Or you can put strongly disagree first, up to strongly agree. Yeah. Yang pentingnya, the direction tu, kalau ada 10 question, direction tu mestilah sama. Ya. Maksudnya, you have to actually plan ya, before you embark on the survey, whether your question is a positive question or is a negative question to gauge the attitude. Kalau macam ni, those who smoke e-cigarette looks very cool. Sebenarnya kalau yang agree tu maknanya negative attitude lah because we don't want smoking e-cigarette to look cool kan. So strongly agree to is negative attitude which actually relate to lower score. Yeah? And the strongly disagree is positive attitude. Yeah? Kalau you tukar soalan ni, those who smoke e-cigarette looks very bad, yeah? Looks very bad or looks this sudah jadi negative negative question, yeah? So if people agree, it's showing a good attitude, yeah? Those who smoke e-cigarette looks very bad, strongly agree show that the person have positive attitude. Jadi untuk buat question ni pun directionnya kena tengok, ya? Directionnya kena tengok, kena relate sesuai dengan direction of the answer option, ya? Now, that is Likert scale. We can also have metric question. Yeah? If you want to ask a few questions in a row that have the same response option, metric question are your best option. Maksudnya, a series of Likert scale question, tapi you ada 10 soalan ataupun 5 soalan that using Likert scale or rating scale as your answer option. Yeah? So metric question, when you do online survey, you design it as a metric question. So it can simplify a lot of content, but it's important to use them carefully lah. Kalau carefully means you can't use a large number of questions with metric question. Yeah? Kalau sangat besar, banyak sangat soalan, use metric question, like the one that I will show you, it can be confusing. Macam ni, mungkin 5 should be fine, ya. 5. Tapi if you have 10, you have 15 metric question, you have to actually separate the question. Sebab if too large, a very large metric, susah nak tengok kan. Dalam telefon, mobile, or even in your desktop, laptop, yeah, that you have to scroll down. Nanti when you have to think about this, yeah. Ini nampak macam very obvious, ya. Sangat benda yang senang. Tapi inilah yang selalu kita buat. Dah buat baru perasan, I see, kena tukar, wasting time. Ya. So you must bear in mind before you start. Okay, if you want to do metric question, berapa soalan yang muat satu page? Ya? So that people don't have to scroll. Nanti dia tak nampak dah soalan dekat atas. Ya? Cannot see what is the question up there. Ya? So kena cantiknya. Ya? Ngam-ngam satu page. Ya? If you want to do metric question. Now, drop-down question. This is easy way to display a long list of multiple choice answer without overwhelming your respondent. Betul. Why not overwhelming? Sebab jawapannya itu kita sembunyikan, kan? The answer actually is we hide the answer. The respondent tak nampak lagi jawapan dia. What's your age? Tak nampak kan banyak. So at least the respondent tak ada rasa banyaknya ya. There's a lot to read because it's a drop down. Bila drop baru nampak So with it you can give them a scrollable list of answers to choose Sometimes showing all answer option at once ni can offer your respondent a good context about the question You keep in mind kalau when you want to consider using more than one drop down question in your survey open-ended question. Like I said kalau respondent need to give their opinion, normally we will ask for open-ended question but open-ended question in online survey, the respondent need to type their answer lah into a comment box dan kita tak ada bagi specific preset answer option. And then all these responses ni yang mereka type ni, we have to view the response individually. Ataupun we need to have some tool lah. There are also software to analyze this, which is quantitative software like Atlas Eye and Vivo. But to tell you the truth, it's not easy to quantify written answer. However, the good things about open-ended question ni, it allow our respondent to offer their comment feedback in their own words. So sometimes our own question, kita overlook some things. Only when you read their selalunya kalau among undergraduate student ni, what survey that we give them as an open-ended question is reflection. When we ask the students to reflect on some program, let's say we do a community work in the field, normally at the end of the community work, because we would like to know how our students have learned from the community work. Selalunya kita bagi dia two pages, one page tu ada like 4 question, open-ended question for them to reflect on their experience. So, kalau dari experience saya tu memang open-ended ni very useful before you want to do an objective survey. Because from that you will see, this is a new thing that we never think of this. Something like very relevant to their group. But not to us. Kalau kami ni macam sudah almost 50 years old, dia tak terfikir pun yang itu. Rupanya, from the student perspective, it's totally different. Now, this is something that we overlook, but we capture that when we give an open-ended question. The tip is pair the closed-ended question with open-ended question, to better understand and address your quantitative data. Now, demographic question. Kalau kita interested in gather information about respondent background or income level, then of course we have to put demographic question, because this type of question later will allow us to gain insight. How did this demographic question can allow us to gain insight? Whatever our study objective is, if you have the demographic data, you can actually analyze later your outcome of study by demographic data. You can actually see yang penting lah demographic data ni we also call universal variable. Universal. Normally in all study we want to ask demographic. Sebab you can actually further analyze your data by gender to see whether gender influence the outcome or not, by level of education, by income level, And what is the use of this? In the first place, you must know when you want to conduct a survey, remember I have talked about this in our previous lecture, the important, how are you going to use the information? If you don't plan to use the information for intervention, it's just for your audit, perhaps demographic data tak perlu terlalu banyak, apa yang penting saja. But if you're planning to use to do some intervention with your resources, limited resources, that you have to prioritize your intervention, this is where your demographic question become very important. Maksudnya, duit hanya ada 5,000 sahaja. To do dental pop-up, mesti nak buat dental pop-up tu bukan murah, you have to spend some amount of money. But in a situation where you have limited resources, when you conduct a study sebelumnya, sebelum you buat intervention tu, you have the demographic information, and when you analyze, okay, you tahu problem this is very, very prevalent among 5 to 6 year old children. And it's not prevalent in 8 to 10 year old, for example. Kalau you divide the age group tu into such a group lah, then you know when you have limited resources, you may want to do a pilot study or first intervention, first model, you may want to apply to the group who is most in need, which is 5 to 6 year old. But all this you can only gain when you have demographic question in your survey. This is a powerful tool to segment your audience based on who they are, what they do, so you understand more. Classic demographic question, ask for information like age, gender, occupation, educational level. Sometimes you may want to ask a relationship status. Okay. Demographic. Okay. Next is ranking question. Ranking question ni dia lain daripada rating question. Rating question. Ranking ni where you ask respondent to rank, to order the answer option. You give a list of answer option, but you ask the respondent to rank. What is the advantage of this ranking question? It allows us to not only understand how respondents feel about something, but also help us to understand dia punya preference, dia punya relative popularity. However, ranking question ni can take more time to answer. If it is not important, try not to include them. Kalau you boleh ada question type yang boleh provide the data that you need lah. Kecuali you memang perlu information on rank. Another thing, only use when you are confident that respondents are familiar with each answer option. Otherwise, it will be impossible for them to answer accurately and honestly. I bagi contoh. Katakan we ask the student, this question tak bagus sangat, nanti I tak sempat nak betulkan. But basically, we ask the following, the students to rank, sekarang ni in this COVID situation, what teaching preference that they prefer. Please rank, 1 being your favorite, 5 being your least favorite. Whether they like to face-to-face di ruang kuliah, face-to-face makmal, outdoor, or they prefer online. So they will have to rank. Yang mana nombor 1, mana nombor 2, nombor 3, 4 dan 5. But to use ranking question, like I said, the student must be familiar with all these options. Kalau kita nak rank, we ask the respondent to rank health promotion program that we have conducted all this while, to change health behavior. The respondents mestilah, we know that the respondents are familiar with all the health program that we would like to put there. Or else, mungkin dia tahu nombor 1, nombor 2, nombor 3. 4, nombor 5 dia tidak tahu. Definitely that will actually influence their preference kan, their ranking. Akan jadi, yang mereka tak tahu tu akan jadi nombor 4, nombor 5. Of all you know, nombor 4, nombor 5 tu sebenarnya sangat bagus. Sama lah macam if we want to rank a movie that we watch di bioskop. Bioskop ke bioskop? How do you pronounce that? I selalu tengok movie Indonesia, bioskop. So if you want to ask the audience to rank, kalau 3 movie tu memang mereka tahu, but this 1, 2, 4, 5 mereka tahu. Yang nombor 3 tu mereka tak tahu sebab ini you must consider who's your audience. Ini audience you adalah remaja, and you put apa tu? Oh my god, Kartini, movie Kartini as number 3, So, do you think all remaja akan tengok Kartini? I do not know. Maybe Indonesian adolescent they watch. Tapi kalau macam saya, I'll go and watch Kartini. So the option, mestilah, point is the option, you must make sure when you want to ask ranking question, all the options, you must know that your audience are familiar with all the answer options so that they can rank honestly and accurately. Yeah. We can also have image choice question in an online survey. Ini sesuatu yang, because if we do survey, traditional survey, when you want to do online, yeah, and when you want to do image question, you kena buat warna, bila warna, when you want to print out, it becomes very expensive, especially when you have a large number of respondents. But the good thing in online survey, senang, you can actually use image choice question. Our image choice question, okay, allow us to use image, okay, survey questionnaire, yeah, online, allow us to use image as answer option. It works great when we want respondents to evaluate visual quality of something, yeah, such as an ad or a logo. Ada software yang boleh video, you can actually, this is one thing, advantage of online survey also, you boleh put video, ask the respondent to rate the video. Maybe the video is your health promoting medium, health promoting tools. So you can actually ask the school children to evaluate. It can also provide a breath of fresh air for respondents. So because everything is question kan, soalan will be good where you have some image, some video in your online survey too. We can also have file upload question, yeah. If you need respondent to upload resume, you need respondent to upload whatever lah, so once your responses come back, you can easily download the file. Senang kan? I think that this antara online survey I find fascinating lah for me. Sebab kalau traditional dulu susah, tak boleh, susah lah mereka nak kena hantar. Ini senang saja, everything can be upload, yeah. Now, sudah enough about type of survey, yeah, online, yeah. Now, this online survey also, they have biases. So it's good for us before we start, yeah, we understand what are the biases could be introduced when you conduct an online survey so that kita boleh anticipate bias too and we can reduce them, yeah. Number one is sampling bias. Ini for sure memang ada sampling bias because in an ideal survey, all your target respondent have an equal chance of receiving an invitation, yeah, to your online survey. Yeah. However, because it is an online survey, somehow we might be restricting our service availability to respondents who are more active online, yeah, especially those who have social media account, those yang ada email, yeah. So kita respondent level of online engagement will vary, yeah. Bila you must consider lah age, income. Poor people may not have online access, yeah. Yeah, age also, yeah, maybe older people, I do not know. In certain countries, developed countries, the older people, they are very active online, yeah. So it depends. You have to know lah your area, your subject matter, yeah. When some of our respondents become less likely to be surveyed than others, survey kita might be affected by sampling bias. So you must be aware about this. When you want to conduct online survey, think about your respondent. Do you think your respondent akan ada access to online survey, or there will be part of your respondent yang tak akan dapat access? So you must address that as limitation, yeah. Limitation meaning when there is a sampling bias, what is the effect? The effect is when you want to generalize your finding. So when you have sampling bias, the generalizability of your findings, yeah, could be limited kepada siapa yang you survey, yeah. But it's not a big problem. You can address it as a limitation lah, yeah. Now, but there's a way to reduce sampling bias. The best way is to distribute your survey to various online channels so that you can improve its visibility among your respondents. Jangan share on social media saja, jangan share on Instagram only, Facebook only, yeah. Telegram, you can use email, you can use website, ya, message saja WhatsApp, ya, boleh guna QR code juga, ya. So if needed, you can also provide an online push through phone or text message reminders, ya. Now, non-respondent bias, non-respond bias, ya. Non-respond bias ni is where when those who answered your online survey somehow appear to be systematically different from those who didn't respond. Maksudnya, when we send our online survey, we send to all genders. But somehow you notice your respondent mostly men. Even if your survey, you don't have any restriction on gender. Tapi banyak men yang answer. This type of bias can still happen even if you have distributed your survey across many channels. So to increase the response rate, because when you increase your response rate, excuse me, your target respondent will be well represented. But even though normally kita ni bukan senang lah nak control response rate ni, many factor depend on your survey topic, your target population. So maybe your survey topic is very untuk gender mungkin tidak menarik bagi wanita, for example. So dia malas nak jawab, But you can actually manage this, help to manage this by sending you bagi pre-notification email or you bagi personalized invitation. I'm sure ramai kita di sini dapat banyak online survey through email kan. Dulu, if you notice, some survey online through email, they will send to a group email to info, so everyone will get. But there will be also online survey where they just send to you. That is personalized invitation. When they send to you, whoever receive that email, susah juga if you tak jawab macam it's just you, right? So they will know that you didn't answer the question, right? So somehow people akan jawab juga, Okay. So this is some of the way lah to help in non-respond bias, pre-notification email, personalized invitation, ataupun survey reminder. Now, there's also respond bias when you do online survey. Respond bias ni, when your respondent answer your online survey, there could be what we call acquiescence bias. This is yes saying, better known as yes saying. This is a form of bias where our respondent will tend to tell us what we want to hear. This is human nature, kan? Bila dia baca soalan tu, dia boleh agak apa jawapan yang kita, the researcher want, and they will take that. That's response acquisition bias. Demand characteristic bias is where when the respondent become overly aware that they are part of survey. So dia akan sangat berhati-hati over their answer. Extreme response, ini pun, this is when you use like a scale, when respondent tend to select extreme option. Extreme option ni sama ada most disagree, strongly disagree or strongly agree, very much likely or not at all likely, So, dan ada juga yang neutral responses. All question neutral. These are sort of bias that whether we like it or not, memang ada lah. Desirability bias, this is similar to yes saying tadi. This is actually exhibited as a sign of self-preservation. This is where human tend to behave desirably. Apa behavior yang kita nak yang bagus? Dia tak nak tunjuk behavior yang tidak bagus. So, there are also solutions to address responsive bias. Number one, semua bias dekat atas ni, if you notice, is when they are aware. They are aware or they think that researchers know who they are. Okay? The good things are online survey ni, you boleh self-administered, right? And you must put anonymity. Ini anonymity ni meaning that let the respondent know that we do not know them. It is anonymous, so they will answer more honestly, and it will somehow to certain extent will reduce response bias. Okay, order bias, this is also normal. Order bias maknanya the ordering of your question. When you want to order your question tu, you have to, kalau boleh biarlah dia independent of other question. Ya. Yeah? Kalau dia ada sequence yang very much related, it could introduce order bias. Ya. Yeah? Because for example, respondent may experience what we call assimilation effect, where they respond to a later question similar to earlier question. Compared if you ask the question on its own independently. Yeah? At the same time, respondent pun boleh ada experience contrast effect, where they respond to a later question opposite, extremely opposite daripada previous question. Yeah? Now, next is how to create an online survey in simple steps. There are a few things that we must consider when we want to create an online survey. Yeah? Number one, we must think about effective formatting. Yeah? We may want to consider to ask the same question over time. Yeah? This is just to emphasize and to see whether they are consistent in answering the question. Yeah? Minimize the number of questions you ask. Yeah? Remember, how many questions per page. Yeah? We'll talk about this in detail. Help respondent feel comfortable right from the very beginning. Yeah? This is reflecting your first question. Yeah? Keep your question straightforward, clarify potential misunderstanding, ensure that every respondent receives relevant question. If possible, avoid asking just yes and no question, if possible. Yeah? If possible, still clear using a metric question card. If possible, choose word over number when writing answer choices. This is the general tips. Now, about use formatting. Yeah? The format when we want to do online survey, group similar question to keep your survey logical and focused. Similar question meaning a question that measuring under one domain lah. Yeah? Maknanya you have to use page breaks, page title, every each title on your mobile. You must have page title. You might have a quick instruction to help people understand what you're asking and why. Yeah? Mesti ada page break, mesti ada page title. When we say survey logical and focused, what does it mean? When we say to keep your survey logical and focused, number one, clearly define the purpose of your online survey. You must know, fuzzy goal leads to fuzzy result. Kalau goal tak clear, result mesti tak clear. You will end up with a set of result that provide no real decision enhancing value. Because why? Because your survey does not have focus objective that can be easily understood by you and your respondent. So we must spend some time upfront before you start doing your online survey. You write what is the goal of your survey. Kenapa kita buat survey ni? What do you hope to accomplish with this survey? You must have the end of the survey in your mind. You do this survey, what actually in the end you want to accomplish. With this survey, you want to have the information on this, on this, on this, because how will you use the data? Because this information I want to use to know who should I prioritize, for example, to know what is the preferable method for this target group, to ask for funding. What is the use of this data? You must plan from very beginning. Yeah, because what is the decision from your survey that you hope to impact with the result of the survey? Semua ni kita kena tahu sebelum kita buat online survey. So bila kita tahu apa goal, kenapa kita buat survey ni, apa yang kita nak at the end of the survey, because we want to use the finding untuk apa, sebab kita nak ubah apa. So then you will design a survey that collect the data yang boleh supply you the information for you to make all this decision. Yeah. Kalau you just okay objective macam ni, knowledge, attitude, practice, tapi you do not know how to use this information. It's just that kalau buat survey on knowledge, attitude, practice senang. Itu yang paling mudah sekali. That's the only reason why you do that. Mungkin sudah banyak dah research knowledge, attitude, practice, overlapping, dan information you nanti tak ada gunanya, tak ada added value. So why you spend so much time to do the survey? Ini memang I selalu cakap ini, even to my postgraduate student, when postgraduate student, now my postgraduate student, semua sibuk cari topik. What's topic research problem? They want to start their master project and their doctorate project. So when they want to start, they give banyak, 5 topik, 6 topik. So, and all these topic with the objective. My one question is, what do you plan? How are you going to use the result? What is the meaning of the results to you? Berguna ke tidak results you? Because with that question, it will change your objective and the way you collect data. Okay. Quality versus uninterpretable data. I'm sure siapa those here in our lecture, listening to the lecture, those who experience in doing survey, I'm sure myself also masa mula-mula dulu came across where when you dapat data result, tak boleh nak interpret even the interpretation pun tak banyak guna not so much of a good quality data. So that is the importance of planning. Planning ni termasuklah clearly define your purpose of online survey with all the questions I mentioned just now. Then we can get a quality data. Advanced planning helps ensure that the survey asks the right question to meet the objective and generate useful data. Number 2, survey logical and focus ni keep our survey short and focused, especially online survey. When it is short and focused, it will help us in terms of both quality and quantity of the response. Quantity ni kan lebih ramai yang orang akan respon So it is better to focus on a single objective than cover multiple objective. Okay, now this is a bit tricky lah. Kita pun tak nak buat survey untuk answer satu objektif 5 soalan saja, right? So it's like we think spend alang-alang sudah hantar email buat survey, you may want to tackle a few objectives. So actually you can have a few objectives in one survey, but you cannot have too many. 3 objective okay, You can have 5 objectives provided that for each objective soalan dia sedikit. So you have to balance lah. If the question you hanya perlu a few questions to measure your domain. Let's say your domain is attitude. Cukup 4 soalan saja dah boleh measure attitude of the participant towards a certain condition. Then you may want to have a more objective. Apart from attitude, sebab satu domain soalan ni tak banyak. So it depends. Shorter survey, of course, higher response rate and low abandonment rate, non-response rate lah. Because it's human nature. Human nature. Even us, kita pun ramai orang hantar survey, right, to us, online survey. You want to be quick and easy. When jawab panjang sangat, lama-lama you pun stop in the middle, right? Once the respondent loses interest, they simply abandon the task, leaving the researcher to determine how to interpret that partial data, or whether your data can be used at all or not. So, ini kalau you have learned about developing a questionnaire, there's a stage where you have to do reliability and validity test of your question, kan? Even online survey is just a method of data collection, but your question needs to be valid and reliable first. So, dekat stage reliability and validity of questionnaire ni, where you have actually developed a questionnaire and then you do a pre-test for content validity, phase validity, and then you do a pilot study to see, to do combat apa, to see your domain question under a domain reliable, whether it's valid or not, you do test retest. Dari situ actually you can shorten your questionnaire. Daripada 10 soalan mungkin 4 saja yang betul-betul berguna. So better to do that, and you have the important questions saja dalam you punya survey, because you don't want to end up with partial data. Then you may lose one participant. Banyak sangat tak jawab kan. So it's a waste lah. Make sure each question is focused on helping you to meet your objective. Don't put a nice to have question. Ini selalu you dah ada one question that will answer objective, but you also put, let's just put one question lah. This is quite relevant, but bukan betul-betul a focused question. If the question don't directly provide you useful data, for you to meet your objective, don't put the question. It's also good to ensure the survey is short, to time a few people taking the survey. What is the time now? Okay. Taking the survey. Okay, I have like half an hour. Okay, survey, online survey, the best is 5 minutes or less to complete. 6 to 10 minutes is acceptable. But after 11 minutes, yeah, survey done by all these software, Survey Monkey, Google Form, when they conduct a survey, more than 11 minutes, there are significant non-response rates. Yeah? Okay. Now, the third one is to keep the question simple. Make sure your question get to the point. Avoid to use jargon, yeah, jargon, yeah. Ini sounds very obvious, but surprisingly, people still do this, yeah. They put medical terms, dental terms. Make sure we use just a layman term, yeah. Try to make your question as specific and direct as possible. Let's compare this. If you want to ask about experience, what has your experience been working with our frontliner team? Compared to how satisfied are you with the response time of our frontliner? Berbeza kan? The first question is very broad. If you were asked this question, also you pun nak jawab sangat panjang. Experience in terms of what? In terms of timing, in terms of response time, in terms of very polite, in terms of attending to you. What is it about? But if you straightforward, how satisfied are you with the response time of our frontliner? Senang. Respondent pun boleh jawab. Zup. Kan? Yeah. Keep the question simple. Senang je ni. Ask yourself, when you read the question, you yourself, is it easy for you to answer it? If you think about the question, what does the question mean? Meaning that it's not a simple question, you will have to rephrase. Yeah? Now, use close-ended question whenever possible. Yeah. Okay, are we still there? Are you all still there? Hello? 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 Uh-oh. Hello?
Dokter Mar?
Ya, masih dengar ya?
Ya, masih dokter.
Masih dengar ke tak? Okay. Saya takut sudah, saya tak perasan connection sudah tak ada, saya cakap. Alright, I continue. Alright, wait. Okay. Use close-ended version wherever possible, ya. Close-ended, kalau possible lah, ya. Use close-ended survey question because it will give respondent specific choice, yeah, and it's easier for us to analyze, yeah. Of course, close-ended question can take the form of yes and no. Okay, now yes and no ni, only when you really sure, yeah, that your audience will know yes or no. Yeah, selalunya you will provide another option which is unsure. Yeah, okay. Multiple choice or rating skill. Yeah, open-ended survey question allow people to answer a question in their own words. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, as a supplemental question. Yeah, may provide useful qualitative insight. So, but kalau you nak for analysis purpose, close-ended question are preferable unless you memang nak tahu qualitative data. Then you have to be prepared lah that you have to analyze your open-ended answer with a specific tools. Yeah? Keep rating question consistent throughout the survey. Yeah? If you choose to use rating scale 1 to 5, 1 to 10, yeah? Keep it consistent throughout the survey. Make sure that in the same number of points on the scale, yeah, with the meaning of high and low, stay consistent, like I mentioned just now. Kalau 0 to 5, throughout the survey, 0 to 5. Don't you have 0 to 5 and suddenly 0 to 10, 0 to 15, you will get your respondent confused, yeah? And it will give you untrustworthy responses from your respondent, yeah? And the meaning of your answer, yeah? 0 to 5 tu, the direction tu biar sama, yeah? Sama, yeah? 0 tu meaning the least positive attitude. The maximum is the most positive attitude. So the direction tu biar consistent throughout the survey, yeah? And use an odd number. Odd number ni 1 to 5, 1 to 9, ada juga lah 0 to 10, yeah? Odd number ni, kalau odd number, because when you want to analyze, you ada yang tengah-tengah, so half 3 is negative, the half 3 is positive, yang tengah-tengah tu neutral. That's why we normally have the odd number. Logical ordering, Survey flows in a logical order. Ini sangat penting for impression and also for people to think. Yeah, your question may actually need people to think to answer. If you put your question in a logical order, it will make easier for people to answer without too much of thinking to understand your question. Yeah. How to do this? Yeah? You may want to start with a brief introduction. Your introduction ni biarlah introduction that motivate respondent to complete the survey. Yeah? For example, you start your survey with, please help us to improve our service to you. Please answer the following short survey. Yeah? The introduction to mesti catch your audience, yeah? Your respondent. Yeah? You can start with broader based question to narrower in scope, yeah. And if you want to collect demographic data or you want to ask any sensitive question, you should put it at the end, yeah. Unless you are using this information to screen out survey participant. Maknanya you memang perlu tahu demographic data dia, age group. So if the age is more than 50, then you don't have to answer the survey. Then you have to put the demographic data at the beginning, yeah. Sensitive question memang perlu letak towards the end, or else they may just answer your question and just leave your survey. Yeah. If you're asking for contact information, you want to place that information lah. Depending on the community, yeah. Certain community, all this information is a private information to them. Yeah. So you may want to put it at the end. But certain community very open to share their contact information, to share how much they earn every month in a year. So depending, you know your community, so you have to consider that as well when you want to sequence your question. Now, of course, must pre-test your online survey. Yeah, make sure you pre-test with a few members of your target audience or your team, yeah, because to find glitches, any unexpected question interpretation, they may interpret your question differently than what you want them to understand, yeah. Consider your audience when sending survey invitation. Ini pun penting. When you send your online survey, will actually dictate or determine your response rate, yeah. Kalau you tengok dekat software survey, yeah, they found out that the highest open and click rates take place on Monday, Friday and Sunday. People don't do online survey tengah-tengah minggu because they're very busy. Yeah. Quality of survey responses does not vary from weekday to weekend. Yeah. And it is most important to consider your audience, depending on who's your target participant. Kalau is an employee satisfaction survey, you send survey during working week when they are busy, mestilah tak ramai yang jawab. Yeah? You have to know what is the time that's suitable for your organization. If you're sending a survey to a school, yeah, or to a university, you must also know, but this is academically driven organization. You may want to avoid sending when it is an exam month or there's a lot of non-curricular activity. Yeah? So you must know the timing. Yeah. You want to do a study among undergraduate students, among your members, yeah? Then you must know when is the busy time. Don't conduct a survey 2 days before a module test. They won't answer your question. Yeah. All right. Consider sending several reminders, sending out reminders to those who haven't previously responded, and often provide a significant boost in response rate. Ini memang betul. Sebab like me, the first time people send me online survey, bila I baca, when I am busy, I memang ignore, tak sempat. Second time pun, if I am busy still, I will ignore too. But when I receive a third time, I feel like, kasihan dia ni, they're very persistent. So even I am busy, I will just put it aside and try to attend the questionnaire. Yeah. All right. Then consider offering an incentive. Ini tadi I mentioned ni during the early part of this lecture. Yeah. Offering an incentive can be very effective in improving response rate. Yeah. People like the idea of getting something for their time because it's their time. Their time has meaning, so they want you to pay for that time. Yeah. But the trick is you must keep the incentive appropriate in scope. bagi yang bersesuaian, ya, because overly large incentive can lead to undesirable behavior. For example, people, if you want to scan, yeah, you do a screening question about their income, yeah, because your study is focusing on certain group of household income participant, yeah. But they know that you are giving incentive for this. They may lie about their demographic in order to not be screened out from the survey. Yeah? So incentive tu biar secukupnya saja. Well, I know maybe some people will ask, how much is secukupnya, Dr. Mar? Yeah, I can't answer that. It depends on your community. You will have to know. For some community, 50 is considerably good, but not too much. Yeah? But for some community, 20 is also very good. Yeah. For some community, even 100 is also, if you are doing a survey in a very high level professional, they may want to do for free, yeah, for the sake of knowledge. Yeah, you may be surprised of that. Yeah? Ada orang yang nak survey free saja for that time. But there will be some people that the pay, the incentive would be hundreds. Yeah. Now, last, how to create an online survey in simple steps. Okay. I hope you still bear with me. We are almost like, ini sudah lepas 90 minutes ya, Dr. Dini. 90 minutes or 100 minutes. Sekejap
No
lagi.
worries, Dr. Mahta.
How to create an online survey in simple steps. Tadi, the first step, use formatting. Kan? Under use formatting tu, I explain a lot about to keep your survey logic and focus. Now, the second part, when you want to create online survey, ask often. Ask often ni maknanya use the same question in a series of survey, or use the same survey over time. Yeah, this is in a survey where you want to gauge, to measure attitude, changes in attitude. You want to measure the same thing. You don't use a different question. Yeah, because when you use different question to measure the same thing over time, yeah, then you may get a different interpretation of your question. Yeah. So the result, the answer that you get is different, not because through difference in the attitude or through changes in the attitude, but it is different because the way you pose your question is different from the previous question. Yeah. Number 3, be brief. Respondent really don't like survey that are too long. Remember, always remember, if you want to conduct a survey, minimize the number of questions you want to ask. D, you must, when you conduct a survey, you want to start a survey, please be ease into it. Ease into it meaning the first question is often the most important question. If we ask a personal or sensitive question at the beginning, we can scare people away. Yeah? So again, save those questions if the question is truly necessary for the end. Next, stick to specific. Create survey question that explore one idea at a time to make sure your respondent can understand what you're asking. Okay. Ini memang when you develop a survey, when you develop a question for your survey, ada banyak cara. Let's say your objective is to determine knowledge on sign and symptom of COVID-19. Yeah. So your question, each question, you only ask on one knowledge, whether they know or not. Don't have 2 points in one question. This is what we call two-barrel question. In one question, you are asking whether the respondent know 2 signs or 2 symptoms. They may know the first symptom, but they do not know the second symptom. So how are they going to answer your question? So the question must be very specific, yeah, so that they can answer and correctly, yeah, and honestly, and not confused by your question. Now, again, clarify your question. Spell out specifically everything that could be interpreted in more than one way. For example, yeah, if you ask overall, how will you rate the quality of your customer service? It can mean how well did our customer service representative answer your question. It can mean how long did you wait on hold before speaking to our customer representative. It can also mean how politely did our customer service treat you. It can mean how clear was the information that our customer service provided. Yeah. Overall, are you satisfied or dissatisfied? So you must clarify what do you mean, yeah, by your question. Be specific. Keep it relevant. Now, survey online ni, you boleh buat skip logic, ya. Create a survey that keep. Kalau hard copy survey, memang you boleh buat skip logic. You ask a question and then you put there your instruction. If you answer yes, please go to question 9. Now the question is number 2. Question number 2. When you answer yes, please go to question 9. But when they want to go to question 9, they have about 7 questions to pass through, right? Dia kena flip page, tapi online survey is very easy. Just click a button, terus pergi question 9, yeah. So that's the advantage lah, yeah. So create a survey that keep respondent focused by only show them questions that directly apply to them. A great way to do this is by using skip logic. So ini for me, I susah nak master ni lah. I ni dinosaur punya generation, but I'm sure young generation, this is very easy. It's just at your fingertip. You pergi Google Form, tengok-tengok, sekejap ni dah faham dah nak buat semua. The Survey Monkey, because memang tengok my students semua year 3, year 4, year 5, I tak payah ajar pun. They know themselves, how to go about, how to do skip logic, So I can safely say that there's nothing to worry with this young generation when they want to do an online survey. So if you see what is skip logic here, it can be question skip logic. This is applied to a question. You have to think which one that applies to your survey. It can be question skip logic. It just applied to a question. So you let your skip respondent to a future question or page in the survey based on the answer choice they select in the previous question. Then number 1. Number 2, it could be page skip logic. This is applied to a page. So it lets you skip everyone that reach the page to a specific destination later in the survey, meaning to a later page or at the end of the survey. Dia tak sama dengan question skip logic. Page skip logic ni, it doesn't depend on respondent answer. It's just that it is activated. Bila respondent sampai dekat page ni, you plan that. When the respondent sampai page 5, if they finish up to that, you activate, dia akan skip terus sampai jawab page yang last sekali. Kalau they just do up to page 4, they will need to do a second last page, for example. Advanced branching ni, ini where you ada banyak lah dalam satu survey. You ada question skip logic, you ada page skip logic. Kalau you have advanced branching in your software tu, dia akan replace page skip logic. Now, try to avoid yes/no question. Just yes and no, because sometimes yes/no question ni don't capture people who are on the fence. Like when I just finished conducting a survey among university students, our undergraduate, about their knowledge, their attitude, and their practice regarding COVID-19. So when we conduct a survey on knowledge, ada banyak domain lah, macam I cakap tadi, sign and symptom, mode of transmission, the knowledge on aerosol, AGP, aerosol generated practice. So we put yes, no, and unsure. And there is question where student, quite a percentage of student answer unsure. So if you just put yes and no, because this is your student, you want to know whether they really have the knowledge about this. If you force them to answer yes and no, they will just have to answer yes or no. So you will, because no ni memang they didn't know about that at all. Unsure ni, to some extent they know about it, but they are not sure. This will help you when you want to do your teaching, the teaching. Okay, avoid the metric if possible, because presented with a metric, respondent will typically focus on filling out the grade rather than paying careful attention to each question. Maksudnya, that's why lah, kalau you nak buat metric, don't do a large metric question. Because if you put a large metric question, when they see there's a lot of question there, even it can fulfill a page, it fit a page of your questionnaire online survey. But when you have a lot of questions, it's a human nature. They will just look at your answer option tadi, yang sama tu, daripada strongly disagree to strongly agree. They will just click, 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 click. They don't really focus on the question. So let the question be a small number in a matrix in one page. Okay. Next, use words, not number. When you design answer choice, tadi kan kita nak phrase tadi, kena bagi makna. Apa makna zero? Strongly disagree. Not just a number. Not just when you put a question, when you put an answer option, don't just put a number. Okay, this is an example of drop down where you put, you see kat sini kan, dia letak what is the answer in words, and there's also have the skill, the number together. So the respondent akan faham what does it mean, not just putting the skill. Now, okay, I just would like to share some of the survey software. I pun tak ada banyak experience lah. Like I said, we are also new to online survey. But adalah survey monkey ni ada buat twice. Google Form tu ada buat 2-3 kali. Of course, with the help of my younger generation students. But this is what a few things that I can share. If you want to do survey, maybe some of your lecturer are more expert in this, because I can see lecturer in this department in University Airlangga ni semua muda, young, very young but very productive, impressive, you product. So I'm sure you know better about these all apps than me, So you can actually talk more about this to your student, Okay. One that I know is if you want to create survey on a phone or tablet, one of it is Survey Monkey. I'm sure you all have heard about this because Survey Monkey is a very large survey software. One of the biggest name in survey app. Because Survey Monkey is not just desktop survey. It also offer a mobile survey. Survey Monkey allows you to create, to edit, to gather responses, analyze results on your own smartphone or tablet. Tapi Survey Monkey ni, I know that if you have many questions to ask, you will have to pay. There are a limited number of questions to ask. The good thing is anything that you do on mobile using Survey Monkey, you can sync it with your desktop account or vice versa. Interface dia senang, ada banyak button that can guide you through how to create a survey. You can get your each question on one page when you want to edit, so you can clearly see how to organize the survey flow. And if you want to reorder question, you can just tap and hold the page number. You can drag to the new position. And after you're done building the survey, with Survey Monkey, you can send it via email, text, even WhatsApp, or you can share it on social media. And when responses start coming in, you can see straight away the total number of response, the response rate. Siapa yang complete response, and you can actually analyze, you can actually come up with a pie chart or bar chart to show the number of responses. Macam you tak perlu nak pergi ke software lain lah, to analyze the data, to have a graphic way of showing your results. This level of analytics is right on mobile, but Survey Monkey selalunya dia bagi you details even on a small screen. Maksudnya on your phone pun you boleh dapat. I do not know lah the latest one, but yang I tahu, the Survey Monkey ni dia ada 15 different type of survey question. Banyak lah, ada latent skill, ada multiple choice, ada open comment. So it's very useful. You can actually use multiple way, multiple method, multiple type of survey question in one survey. Now, kalau if you want to create visually appealing survey, it's called type form. Sometimes kalau text based saja boring. Boring satu, or maybe it isn't enough. Depending on your target audience, target participant. Nowadays, even the primary school children, even 7, 8 years, even 6 years old preschool children, they are very internet savvy. You can conduct an online survey among a preschool children, but of course they will get very easily bored if your question is only based on text, right? So you may want to consider type form, software if you want to do an online survey among kids, yeah. Because this platform, yeah, dia boleh you boleh create image, boleh masukkan GIF, you boleh masuk gambar, you can search, dia ada your own repository, you can search for image, even you can upload your own image, you boleh masuk video in your survey, and this feature bukan just gimmick, it is very useful. You can do a virtual focus group, very interesting. Nanti you all try lah. Nanti bagilah feedback dekat I, macam mana, how is it useful, ataupun can it be very engaging, We can do a survey, collaborate together. University Airlangga and UM, do an online survey. It will be very interesting. Okay, another one for beginner survey planner. I tak pernah guna ni. Tapi I tengok Google, it was voted as best survey application for beginner. So when I search, if you do not know how to get started, survey planner is the best, because there are banyak survey template with pre-written question where you can actually tweak ataupun change your question to fit your needs, And as you view your survey, you boleh tengok the live copy, right in the same window, Dia adalah editing panel dia on the left right side, macam ni, rupa dia, So senang untuk orang yang baru nak mula, You can try that lah, siapa yang belum pernah buat online survey. And of course, ini yang to me paling senang sekali, Google Form, Google Form is free online survey software and questionnaire tool that allows user quickly and easily put together survey via a drag and drop interface, Ni boleh customize, and dia provide you real-time response, ada info, ada chart, and you boleh connect dia with other Google products, website. Ada, you Google saja ada cara how to use Google Form, Senang ni, sebab when we want to first conduct a survey among our graduates, to know, for them to give feedback on our teaching method, what we taught them for 5 years, when they go into the field as a first year officer, is the content of the teaching is appropriate, whether it's actually prepared them to survey. So kita pakai Google Form and dapat 100% response rate. Because they find it very easy and new generation. But in our Google Form ni kita ada letak open-ended question lah that we analyze separately. But at that time, I do not know about type form. So I call them for a focus group for them to give feedback. What need to be improved in our teaching when they are already in the field. Banyaklah dia bagi kita what should be more in our teaching. Not that I know, now ada type form that you can buat virtual focus group. So it will be very easy. So you don't have to ask your participant to come to your place, spend so much money on their expenses, on their traveling, You can do it online, So I think survey gizmo, I'm sure you have heard this, With that, thank you. At the time, 90 plus 30, 120 minutes, Dini. Thank you very much. I'll pass this to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marhas.
Yes.
We have several questions for Dr. Marhas from our students and also from our lecturer. But we still have enough time to discuss and answer all of the questions. Would you like to have short break or we can continue to discussion?
Okay, maybe just 1-2 minutes break. Just for me to drink some water.
Okay, no worries. Just tell me when you're ready for discussion. Oke, sambil menunggu Dr. Marhas istirahat, silakan yang masih punya beberapa pertanyaan, silakan ditulis di kolom chat, boleh dalam bahasa Indonesia, nanti akan kami bantu untuk mentranslatekan ke dalam bahasa Inggris untuk ditanyakan ke Dr. Marhas. Tapi Dr. Marhas ini juga bisa bahasa Indonesia, sedikit-sedikit, jadi nggak ada yang perlu dikhawatirkan. Kemudian Topik ini memang cukup menarik ya, karena setelah kita masuk ke pandemi ini, otomatis penelitian kita semua beralih ke yang online ya. Kita bisa pakai survei online atau kita bisa pakai review literatur seperti yang kapan hari di SOS webinar di awal Oktober itu kita sudah dapat materi tentang literatur review. Itu salah satu yang kita bisa pakai. Selain literatur review, kita bisa pakai menganalisa data sekunder atau secondary data analysis. Nah, yang ini juga salah satu opsi alternatif yang kita bisa gunakan saat kita merancang atau mendesain suatu penelitian di masa pandemi seperti ini. Karena tadi saya juga ikut mendengarkan kuliah dari Dr. Mahas, ini cukup menarik ya. Jadi memang online survei itu ada positif dan negatifnya, ada kelebihan dan kekurangannya, tetapi kita bisa atasi dengan beberapa strategi yang bisa kita lakukan.
Oke.
Oke?
Alright. Okay. Yes, Dr. Dini.
Can we start now for discussion? Okay. The first question is from our lecturer in Dental Public Health Department. She asks about, is the online survey data is reliable or have the same power as the data we collect directly?
Okay, sorry, can you share the like normally when Dr. Alia, she shared the question. I cannot see the question. Can you please Dr. Alia?
Dr. Rara, could you help me to...
Oh, Dr. Gia selalu tolong share questionnya. Yang mana tu?
Dr. Gia? Dr. Rara? Are you there?
Okay, questionnya adalah apa tadi? The
power of online survey data compared to the conventional survey data that we collect directly. Yeah.
Okay, faham. When you talk about the power, this is about power of study lah kan? The power, you must first understand what's the power mean. Power of study ni maksudnya the study has enough power to detect a difference when a difference exists. Power of study ni selalunya applicable when your objective, you have compare, in your objective you have to compare something or you want to investigate if any relationship exists. Jadi bila you ada objektif yang to look into comparison or association, only then you think about power of the study. Sebab power of study ni maksudnya we want our study, our survey to be powerful enough to detect the difference when we compare things. If the difference exists. Saya bagi contoh sebelum saya jawab soalan tu, because I just want to put perspective to the other, especially the undergraduate student. Let's say, for example, if we want to compare the knowledge about COVID between year 5 undergraduate student and year 3 undergraduate student, for example. So the outcome that you want to compare is knowledge score. Katakan skornya from 0 to 100, yeah. So the maximum is 100 lah. So we want to compare whether the knowledge score differ between year 5 and year 3. Okay. If you have that kind of objective where you compare, you want to have a sufficient number of participants. Hanya bila ada bilangan participant yang cukup, then your study become powerful enough to detect difference in the knowledge score between 2 tahun ini if the difference exists. Katakan when you run the survey, the knowledge difference adalah 10 markah. Ya, 10 markah. Katakan year 5 have better knowledge, 90% average. And the year 3 katakan 70% average, so 20% different, ya. 20% different. Okay, depending on whether your study power ke tak power, a powerful study, they will be able to detect that difference 20%, and the result will come out as statistically significant. Your p-value will come out as less than 0.05. But a not powerful study yang tak cukup power, walaupun ada different 20%, you will still have a non-significant result because the study has not enough power to detect the difference in the knowledge, even though the difference exists. Now, what actually contribute to the power of the study? Power of study ni sebenarnya didetermine oleh number of sample, bilangan participant kita. Jadi, regardless whether you conduct traditional survey or online survey, your aim is to get the highest response rate. Kalau survey you online, katakan survey you tu sebenarnya seluruh Malaysia, seluruh Indonesia, seluruh Indonesia, and it's among teachers, school teacher, where school teacher can be accessed online. So there's no reason that they cannot be accessed online. For example, katakan Jakarta lah ya, kalau seluruh Indonesia mungkin juga ada teacher yang I don't know ya, maybe perhaps teacher yang tak ada access online. Katakan ini area memang semua boleh access online. So if you do a traditional survey where you have to go to their place or you have to send by email, yeah, and you cannot trace whether they have answered or not, you may get higher response rate when you use an online survey, yeah. When you have a more number, you have a more powerful research. So depending on that. So if you ask me regarding whether the power is between online survey similar with a traditional survey, my answer is depending on how many participants that you have. Which one is better? Yeah.
Okay. All right, but there's also a question about the sampling technique, Dr. Marhas. Can we say it's random sampling or we should go to a non-random sampling?
It can be both. You can still do a random sampling if you have the sampling frame. Contohnya, you want to do a study. Katakan lecturer would like to conduct a study among your own students, right? Yeah, but you want to do online survey because your students now everywhere in Indonesia. But you have a list of number of your students, yeah? You have a list. That is sampling frame, we call it. So from the list, of course, before that, you have to calculate your sample size, yeah? You only need 100 sample and your student, you have like 500 students. So you still can do sampling with an online survey. So from the list, do a random sampling using SPSS. So you get 100 out of that 500. You send the online survey to those as a sample, those who sample in your research. You can also do non-sampling. Kalau sometimes, this sama juga macam traditional survey. In a topic where it is very sensitive, where it's hard for you to get a sample by using random sampling, you may want to use convenient sampling. Maknanya you identify satu tempat, all those people in there, you conduct your online survey. But the limitation is that in terms of generalizability, where you have to be careful when you want to generalize your findings. Yeah.
Okay.
The short answer is you can use both depending on your target participant.
Okay, because sometimes we can't control whether maybe we have already set the inclusion criteria for the sample. Let's say we want to do a research on a teenager in this age range, but and we distribute the questionnaire online using social media, but we never know if the sample, the participant who complete the questionnaire is in between the age range. Maybe they don't read the inclusion with the criteria, or maybe there's some reason behind it.
That can be done by your demographic question. That's why just now we talk about skip question, yeah, to screen out. In your survey, you need to have a question that can screen out your participant. Yeah. Jadi contohnya, if you want that age range, you have a few ways. Number one, if you have a docent in Indonesia, yeah, of course, when the participant is very open that way, meaning it's not the school children. One way you can have from school children. Kalau school children, you can actually ask the name list, yeah, from the school. So easier for you to actually distribute your online survey. But if you have an open participant, you just want to put it on social media, whoever docent can answer that, then why you need to have a screening question? Your screening question will need to be based on your inclusion exclusion criteria. So it's so with that screening question will help you to get whatever you want. Yeah. So in this way, you don't have to do sampling. You have to just distribute it to, but your sampling at least you must have your population lah, docent each what to what, you know. Tak boleh lah open asalkan dosen saja, cannot. You must have some inclusion exclusion criteria as well. Yeah, to help you to do the sampling. But in this kind of study, you must calculate the sample size first. Yeah, sebab if you don't have sample size, then whoever that comes into your survey, then it becomes very large. Okay, the question is, why can't we have all? Yeah, why can't we have all when everyone want to participate with the survey? That is better, right? The question, yeah. Actually, it is not when you have all the docents to answer your question that makes your research better. Because when you study all a docent, when the sample size that you need is much less, it becomes unethical. Yeah, that's why whatever study you do, to some extent, you must have some idea on the sample size. Because when you just collect, you will actually spend resources. Yeah, unnecessary resources to detect whatever difference in your objective. Sebab if you have terlampau besar sampel, the whole docent in Indonesia answer your question. Jadi dia bukan lagi a research project, a sample, it's like a census already. Yeah? Tetapi katakan objektif yang tadi, we go back to the objective. Where now we want to detect knowledge on signs symptoms of COVID among teenagers in Indonesia. When you have too many participants, even a small difference, yeah, you let's say you want to compare knowledge score about signs and symptoms of COVID between 10 to 15-year-old teenager compared to 14 to 18-year-old teenager, two age group, yeah. But because you collect everyone and 100,000 or 1,000 of sample, even a difference 2% in the knowledge score. Let's say the younger group 80% knowledge score. The older group is just to 82%, 2% different in the knowledge score. You will get a significant result. P-value will become less than 0.05. But is that 2% significant difference is of clinical importance for you? Tak important clinically, right? That 2% difference tu tak banyak different that can actually make you your teaching different, the way you educate the public different. No, by that 2%, it won't let you to change your education method. No. Tapi you dapat significant sebab terlalu ramai. So my point is, you must have sample size. Walaupun you buat a public study like that, just put on social media, you must have some idea of sample size. Okay?
Alright. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry nak jawab soalan panjang, tak apa ya.
That's okay. And how about if we need oral examination using online survey? Is it possible? Like, should we just ask for self-reported oral condition, or we can just have video call and that's just the oral condition?
That's very, very tricky. Selalunya sekarang kita tak buat pun online examination. But I have come across where people use video. Tetapi it's subject to many biases, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
If you use video, yeah, self-reporting, so it subject you to self-reporting bias. Yeah. Jadi if you want to do that, you have to address the limitation of your data.
All right. Sure.
Maybe not to the extent where you can get oral examination, DMFT, but maybe if you want to know about gingivitis, you can have a video. The patient can actually tell you whether they have gum bleeding or not. Simple examination. But again, you'll be subject to certain bias. Yeah.
How about picture?
Yeah, picture also can. Picture also can. It's like when we do the orthodontic self-reporting. Yeah, looking at your orthodontic and what is the index of orthodontic index where IOTN and DHIA, yang where the patient look at the picture, right? Look at the picture and they will actually assess their malocclusion against the picture. That is self-reporting. It can be done. It can be done. And but again, you must address the limitation.
Yes. Okay.
And you must standardize. Okay, sorry, before limitation, you must also standardize. We must actually calibrate your patient, must teach and calibrate them how to interpret the picture. Yeah. Jadi you tak boleh just bagi picture and open to them to interpret. We must calibrate with them. So when they are calibrated against a reference person, a doctor, on how to interpret the picture and check themselves, at least to certain limitation, you to certain extent, you have ensured the reliability and validity of your measurement. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And the next question, maybe Dr. Zamzam would like to ask a question to Dr. Marhas directly. Dr. Zamzam, can you unmute yourself? Okay.
Hi, Dr. Zamzam.
Hi. Thank you for the comprehensive presentation, Dr. Marza. My name is Zamzam. I'm from the Dental Public Health Department. In several research, I want to ask you about the clinical examination also.
Okay.
So we know that in several research related to teledentistry, several instruments have been published, such as the use of cell phone cameras and image processing technology. But however, the survey can only run with the availability of adequate tools, right? Such as a camera or cheek retractor, sufficient light, and etc.
Yes.
These tools scientifically have to go through a process of instrument testing, like you said, the validity and reliability test and so on. So we can prove these tools can really replace the clinical examination or assessment result. This procedure takes time. Well, the COVID-19 come in sudden, right? Our research proposal last year was proposed without knowing the COVID-19 in this year. So the situation pushed us to be more creative. In other side, as you mentioned before, that online survey have a high chances of fraud survey, Dr. Marza. Because of pandemic in our research, in our recent research in Dental Public Department, in a way to becoming creative, we were trying to use online survey and convert the clinical examination to a self-reported oral condition online form as a complementary variables, Doc. Using the respondent camera to take the clinical photo of their own oral condition and several questions. We can say that the result is not so fancy. At least we are trying.
Sorry, you can say the result is not
so fancy. It's not good enough.
Fancy, okay.
Right.
All right.
And my question is, how do you respond to this? To the needs of clinical examination in oral health research in pandemic or pandemic-like situation, where everyone in their home, researcher cannot collect the data directly, and moreover in remote and distance area with insufficient resources like Indonesia. This is our problem even before the pandemic had been started in early 2020, I guess. Indonesia has a lot of distant area, though, as an archipelago country. Based on your experience, my question is, what is your suggestion? Is there any kind of specific procedure or methodology for us to address the solution to this problem? And how come IoT can resolve this? And my second question is, what is your opinion regarding the assumption that said in the future clinical examination by dentists can be fully replaced by an artificial intelligence or machine?
Okay, that's a long way to go. The artificial intelligence is what we call people has been talking about this artificial intelligence relate to Industrial Revolution 4, right? But I think it's a long way to go with the artificial intelligence. But okay, I'll answer your first question first. Regarding clinical examination, in this time of COVID, where you need to do online, it's very tricky, ya. Sangat susah ni mau handle. Tapi to certain extent, we have to do something. If you want to do, kalau saya lah ya yang menghadapi ini, if you want to use online examination using camera, ya, using method that has been used in other places, like I said just now, the first thing you need to calibrate. So as your pilot study, it's like your research question now before you embark on the actual study. Why don't you do a study where your research question is looking at diagnostic accuracy? Yeah, diagnostic accuracy. Diagnostic accuracy can be done very simply by using a cross-sectional survey, yeah, online survey. In a case where let's say for example, I know that you tak boleh tengok patient langsung. I thought like in my place, we still can see patient with PPE and all, yeah. Let's say if you can see patient, 10 patients, for example, and you do a clinical examination where you can record using camera how you conducting the clinical examination on 10 patients, yeah, and you put that aside as a reference test. So the way you diagnose caries, no caries, or using ICDAS, ICDAS is too much lah to ask your patient to do self-reporting, yeah, unless you are also conducting with another professional dentist. But if you want to ask patient to do self-reporting, you have to do a very simple index, maybe prevalence of caries, yes or no, maybe prevalence of gingivitis, whether you have gingivitis or not, maybe like what we said just now for the IOTN, yeah. Now, when you do that on 10 patients, you put that aside as your reference test. Okay. Then, identify your participant. If your participant is a dental officer, very easy lah, yeah, to calibrate. Yeah. But if your participant is patient, that you need to do self-reporting, you have to have a stage in your study where you do training online, yeah, with the camera, yeah. You have to have some picture or a live model, where you train them how to make a simple diagnosis by a patient, not a very complicated clinical diagnosis. Very simple. Ada lubang atau tak ada lubang? Ada gum merah atau tidak? Ya, contohnya. So you have to train them, and after train them and you are satisfied with their skill, then you have to subject your 10 patient tadi, gambar tadi yang you ambil, ask them to do the diagnosis or video, gambar atau video that you took on your 10 patient just now. So ask them to actually do the clinical examination as what you have done and record their result, and then you do the diagnosis accuracy test. You know, right? When you want to see diagnosis accuracy, yeah, you have to look at the sensitivity and specificity of the instrument. In your case here, is the self-reporting. If you have, you can actually build up 2x2 box, yeah. Katakan caries, yeah. Yes and no. On the column, yeah. On the column here, you is your reference test. Is you the one who doing the clinical examination on caries? Yes and no. Yeah. And on your row, you have the patient self-reporting. Caries, yes and no. Where you conduct the examination using camera, using video or photo on the same patient. Then you calculate the sensitivity. How is the self-reporting sensitivity in diagnosing the caries? How is the self-reporting specific in diagnosing the caries? I'm sure you understand about sensitivity, specificity. Kalau you tak familiar, you can just Google it. Sensitivity is where a new instrument, whether it is sensitive enough to detect a disease when the disease is present. Katakan dari 10 patient tadi, Zamzam, 5 ada caries ataupun 10 ada caries when you examine. So when the self-reporting, the patient when do self-reporting, yeah, dia hanya ada 8 yang dia detect caries, but actually 10. So the sensitivity is 80%, which is good enough. Yeah. Specificity is where when there is no disease, how specific that the self-reporting can detect there is no disease among the non-disease patient. Yeah. Kemudian you also have to calculate the positive predictive value and also the negative predictive value. Whenever out of the 10, katakan whenever they said that a patient have caries, how many chance? What is the chance that the patient is truly have caries? Jadi kalau positive predictive value-nya tinggi, 90%, whenever the patient self-report there is caries, memang betul 90% memang ada caries. Macam tu. And you also have to calculate the negative predictive value. So, as a start, if you want to conduct this kind of study, you should start with the diagnosis accuracy. Yeah? Bila you dah ada macam tu, bila self-reporting you have a good diagnostic accuracy with your training, then you bolehlah buat online because you have the backup that you have conduct a study self-reporting with a training given can actually give you how many percent specific, sensitive, positive predictive value and negative predictive value. Is that okay, Zamzam? Zamzam?
Yeah. Still we have to do the clinical examination first kan, Dr. Marza?
Yes, betul. Memanglah kalau you want to use that as your instrument, still you have to do. Tapi online, guna video atau gambar, ya. Yeah? Sebab there's no way that you can replace clinical examination. Still you have to do, but you have to make sure that it needs to be calibrated and it is sensitive, specific, positive and negative value-nya bagus. Barulah your tool tu valid to be used. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Marza.
Yang artificial intelligence tu, I do not know lah. That is very depending on you as a dentist lah. If artificial intelligence, kena betul-betul. I know artificial intelligence ni, I do not know to what extent because sometimes this computer, dia hanya boleh to now, up to now, what I know, even though it is artificial intelligence, the capability is still what we teach them to do. You know what I mean? It's not that they themselves can diagnose themselves. Kalau kita sendiri, we can actually think, whatever something different in the mouth, something yang bukan biasa. Tetapi artificial intelligence up to now, even though dia tu pandai, tapi kepandaiannya tu limited to what we have taught them. Faham? So I still go for conservative lah. For now. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Marza.
Okay.
Okay, for the next question, is there any minimum or maximum number of question in the online questionnaire?
Oh, tak ada. Tak ada minimum and maximum. Depending like I say, kalau survey yang dijalankan oleh software application company, dia 5 ke 6 minit tu 5 minit tu bagus. 6 minutes to 10 minutes tu acceptable. Kalau lebih 11 minit tu people dah start tak jawab soalan, yang akhir-akhir. So itu masa. So depending on your question, complexity of your question. If your question is very simple, straightforward, and the format how you impose your question, you are using metric question, so very easy for the respondent to answer. Then there's no, you can ask more question, right? You can ask more question within that time frame. Tetapi kalau soalan you complex, then you may not want to have too many questions because your respondent will lose interest in answering the question. Jadi maksudnya, kalau saya boleh tambah, actually you have to have the knowledge how to develop questionnaire. Bila nak develop questionnaire, there is also a skill and step. Number one, let's say kita dah cakap, we have to have a clear objective. Katakan objektif kita to determine, I bagi yang simple-simple saja, to determine the knowledge, attitude and practice about COVID-19 among undergraduate students in University Airlangga. Okay. So from that objective, you can see you have 3 important domains. 1, knowledge. 1, attitude. The third one, practice. Right? So you dah boleh tahu lah, okay, soalan saya akan ada 3 bahagian yang besar. Knowledge, attitude, practice. Now, under knowledge domain, you have to decide as a content expertise, you have to gather a few people, the content expertise about COVID-19. What is critical for the student to know about knowledge? You can have what is critical, what is good to know, what is tak perlu tahu. So maybe for online survey, when you don't want to ask too many questions, you want to focus on critical knowledge only. Or you can also decide you want to ask critical knowledge and also good to know knowledge. Maybe 1 or 2 questions. That depending on your committee, your content expert committee. So based on that, attitude pun sama. Under attitude, you decide as a group content expert, what kind of attitude towards what that you want to know among your students. Is it attitude about wearing mask? Is it attitude about treating patient? Is it apa yang penting you nak tahu? Ya, your content expert tadi, group tadi. Okay. Kita sama juga dengan practice. What is the practice that you want to know under practice domain? Maybe not all practice that you want to know. Maybe you just want to know, bila dia buat aerosol AGP procedure, what is their infection control? Contohnya. Yeah. Jadi based on that, we go back to domain. Yeah. Everything that I talk about the domain will apply to other domain about the knowledge. So come back to knowledge domain just now. You have decided to test knowledge on critical knowledge about COVID-19 among your students. Jadi apa dia critical knowledge that you want to ask? You kena decide dulu. Maybe sign of symptom. Itu penting kan? Maybe modes of transmission. Itu pun penting. What else? Maybe ada 2, 3, 4, 5 lagi. But ataupun mungkin 2 saja. Jadi untuk 2 ini pula, you have to think. Sign and symptom. What are the sign and symptom that you really want your student to know? Yeah. Number 1 apa? Sama batuk, nusis, whatever. You kena tengok lah the facts about sign and symptom. So you akan tahu mungkin 5 perkara. 5 yang betul-betul facts Okay. Kemudian under mode of transmission pula, apa you nak tanya. So based on that, normally katakan sign and symptom, ada 5 perkara yang kita nak tahu. Okay. We have 5 questions, but now kita boleh ada extra question for each question. Maknanya we double it. Now we have 10 question. 10 question for sign and symptom. The 10 question ni sebenarnya bertanyakan about 5 saja. Tapi satu simptom tu ada 2 soalan yang lebih kurang sama. Now, this is why when you developing a new questionnaire, it is important to test their reliability and validity. So this question on knowledge with 10 question on sign and symptom, you run first a pretest. Pretest ni just for our participant to know about comprehensive tidak, bahasanya difahami dengan betul ke tidak, masanya bagaimana. Selepas pretest semua okey. Sebelum pretest tadi mesti content validity dulu 10 question ni content expert sudah agree. Cukup dah ini untuk test knowledge on sign symptom Kemudian baru pretest dulu. Selepas pretest everything is clear, then we conduct pilot. In the pilot study ni you akan conduct katakan 30 30 is okay. 30 to answer question on knowledge, 30 students. When you get back the data, you must run your Chromebook Alpha for reliability test, and you also at least you run your factor analysis just to see bila you buat reliability test Chromebook Alpha nanti, di situ you akan tengok if the Chromebook Alpha is too high, 0.98. Now, some people will be very happy. Very good, 0.98. No, too high a Chromebook Alpha indicating that your question is repetitive. You have a lot of question yang sama, yang tanyakan perkara yang sama. Jadi, that is where you cut down your question. Nanti dekat result Chromebook Alpha tu, it will tell you. If you delete the question, what happened to your Chromebook Alpha? What is your new Chromebook Alpha? So you can actually play around when you delete certain question where you still can have a satisfying a good Chromebook Alpha to say that your question is reliable. So at the end of the day, after that, you will have ample question, just enough question that can be put on your online survey. Tak perlu tanya 10 soalan tadi. Tak perlu tanya mungkin 6-7 soalan. you maybe have, sometimes when we do this reliability, 3 soalan je cukup untuk jawab attitude. Macam tu. Yeah. So ini just an added value lah to your question when you ask how many questions need to be asked in online survey, whether there is a limitation or not. It depends on the complexity of your question. Yeah, as long as the timing to answer the question is not too long, that the participant lose interest to answer. I hope I answer your question.
Okay. Thank you. So we still need validity and reliability test before we actually.
Yes. Unless you are using an established validated questionnaire. Kalau sudah guna yang memang established, sekarang banyak yang established questionnaire. Kalau in offline, there's a lot of established reliable questionnaire. Yeah, then you don't have to do reliability and validity lah, unless you need to do cultural validation. Yeah. But you can use a simple. You don't have to do a full reliability and validity research. Tak perlu. You boleh buat at least combat apa, factor analysis just to show that your question on knowledge betul-betul measure knowledge. Because sometimes bila kita tanya soalan, the way we put our question tu, kita nak measure knowledge, but what you measure actually attitude. Yeah. So, bila you run your factor analysis, you will see question itu dia akan pergi ke attitude domain and not in the knowledge. You ingat, we thought that our question is measuring knowledge, but the way we ask question, we said this one should be this. It's actually measuring attitude. So, the way we put the question is the way we measure attitude. So, it will go to attitude. So, at least you conduct factor analysis and reliability combat alpha, that should be sufficient. If you have time, if you want to strengthen, you just do a test, retest reliability. You don't have to do up to criterion validity, convergent validity. That is a full reliability and validity. That will take years to do. Yeah.
All right. And regarding the measuring attitude, there's also a question how we analyze data. She asked about we have let's say 5-point Likert scale, and then is it only for proportion that we can do, or we can classify into good attitude and poor attitude? How about the cut-off point?
Yes, good question. Good question. Okay, now if you let's say now the domain is attitude, you have 5 questions. So these 5 statements on attitudes, the risk of e-cigarette. So this is all the statement on the risk. So the attitude, you are using the answer Likert scale from 1 to 5. Strongly agree, strongly disagree to strongly agree. When your statement is on the risk, when strongly agree, strongly disagree, 0 mark lah kan. Sebab kalau kita bagi statement e-cigarette ni put a risk to health, kalau dia strongly disagree, 0 marks lah sebab dia negative attitude. So when the answer strongly agree, it becomes 5 marks, but good attitude. So 0 to 5. So the direction is the higher the mark, the better the attitude. That is 1. You have to ensure the direction and how your mark is going to be interpreted. So if you have 5 questions and you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay. Number 1, of course, we can report using a percentage proportion. So you can actually report how many percent strongly disagree for question 1, how many percent strongly agree for question 1, how many percent disagree for statement 2, and so on. That's number 1 lah, proportion. Yeah. Okay. The other one is you can also make it more meaningful where you collapse and you put a cut-off point. Okay. Now, when you talk about cut-off point ni, you ada banyak cara lah. Number 1, you can change it into scoring. Scoring means you have 5 statements. If a person is 1 person, answer 0 for all 5 statements, for the minimum score is 0, right? So the maximum score, if that person answer 5, strongly agree for all statements, 5 times 5 will be 25. So the range of score will be 0 to 25, with 0 with the poorest attitude and 25 is the best positive attitude. So from the range 0 to 25, you may want to create cut-off point. Depends on some people, they just use, let's say kalau skill ni memang sudah established, banyak country sudah buat, sometimes they already have their cut-off point. So kalau 0.25, the easiest way, people will just divide 8, 8, 8. The first 0 to 8 will be the poorest attitude. The 9 to 17 or 18 will become moderate attitude. And 19 to berapa tadi? 25 adalah the most positive attitude. Boleh juga bagi. Ya? Or some people, itu kalau kita guna yang dah establish punya cut-off point, you just divide it by 3 or divide by 4. Ataupun you as an expert group, tadi ada content expert group kan, you can sit, do a simple workshop, group workshop, where you decide on the cut-off point based on clinical value. Ya, maknanya you as the clinician, the expertise on the topic, you decide kalau attitude sampai ke mana cut-off point is very poor, something that you cannot tolerate. So if they have up to 5, itu sangat buruk lah, ataupun 0 to 10, you decide based on clinical relevance. Yeah? That also can, tapi dalam method tu when you write, you must say that is decided by the clinical expertise on the cut-off point. Yeah? Based on clinical relevance. Yeah? Okay. Itu satu cara. The other way is where you can do statistically, yeah. You do what we call quartile or percentile. Pun banyak, yeah. You tengok berapa 25th percentile, sebab from one population to other population that will be different. Kalau you guna standard cut-off point, maknanya semua orang guna 0 ke 8, 9 ke 18, 19 to 24. So all population in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in UK, all use the same cut-off point. It might not looks like it, very comparable, boleh compare, but actually your 0 to 8 in Malaysia might be different from 0 to 8 in Europe kan. Europe tu kalau 0 to 8 tu mungkin teruk sangat lah itu. Tapi mungkin 0 to 8 to Malaysia still can consider good attitude with the environment. Maybe in Indonesia mungkin lain lagi macam tu. So when you want to consider population punya value, yeah, cultural, environment, yeah, then you may want to look at the cut-off point that is relevant to your population. So you kena tengok distribution of your score. So decide on the quartile. Yeah?
Okay. All right. The last question maybe Dr. Marhas.
Boleh.
It's about the security issue when we share information. When we share information in online survey, how about how to anticipate the security issue, the information security?
Oh, ya. Yang ini saya pun tak boleh nak jawab lah security ni. Sebab, depending ya. Security normally sebab kita guna email, ya. So bila guna email, that's why kalau website tu, you have to know lah mana yang trustworthy website. Tetapi kalau yang I pernah buat, I just guna email. So email is quite confidential kan, sebab setiap email ada dia punya own password. So when you use email, the confidentiality itu is secured. So bila kita collect data, bila the response back to us, yang itu I rasa sama macam traditional survey. That is actually on us lah, the confidentiality. Sebab bila kita nak buat online survey semua, ya, security of information, confidentiality, of course sama macam traditional survey, we have to have a consent form. Ya, bukan hanya online survey ni tak ada consent form. You need to have the consent form, yeah. So, but of course, some people will argue the moment that you answer the question online, then meaning you dah bagi consent lah, yeah, implied consent, yeah. But to be on the safe side, just write a very simple consent form, yeah, because you nak terangkan pasal research kan. So bila ada consent form, maknanya kita dah berjanji dengan dia for confidentiality. So it's on us lah to keep the confidentiality. Security wise, susah nak cakap because even our bank account pun can be hacked, right? So what I can tell you, security depend on the software that you use. You kena tengok lah how reviewers dah bagi mark dekat software ni whether it is secured or not. And use email lah. Itu jawapan yang I boleh bagi. Maybe if other lecturer have some experience and know more, then my answer boleh contribute, boleh tolong jawab juga. So I can learn from you all. Oh, azan. Rini?
Yes.
Ah.
Okay. Okay. I think that's the last question, Dr. Marhas. And we also already ran out of time for our webinar this afternoon. So this is the end of our session with Dr. Marhas in this afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Marhas. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. Hope in the future we can collaborate or invite you in our other academic events.
Yeah. May I
Finally,
say something?
I would like, sorry?
May I say something before we conclude?
Sure, yes.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizer, your department, your head of department, Prof. Taufan, and all the other lecturers for organizing this and inviting me. I hope the sharing knowledge session has benefited your students and each of us to some extent, and I also apologize for any inconvenience, any lacking in my lecture, hopefully we together we can actually learn from each other in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marhas. Finally, I would like to thank to all participants who attend this webinar. I hope you benefit from the lecture today. See you in our other Stovit online series webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Dr. Mar.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Marhas.
Thank you, Gia and Aulia.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Dr. Marhas, for your time.
Hopefully next year we can meet.
Inshallah, kalau panjang umurnya, inshallah. Yeah, stay safe everyone, stay safe. Okay.
You too, Dr. Marhas.
Terima kasih.
Okay, assalamualaikum. Saya keluar ya. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Terima kasih Dr. Dini, Dr. Gia.
Terima kasih, Dok.